Humanitarian organizations and most NGOs are mission-driven organizations. And what that means is that our goals usually have to do with things that are not directly related to U.S. national security interest, although most of us do work that actually, I think, greatly enhances our national security interest all over the world. What that means is that we don't always share the same goals that the military has in the space where we occupy, or in the space that we occupy together, and particularly in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, where the military is pursuing an active counterinsurgency strategy. One of the main problems for NGOs is when we're seen as a force multiplier or part of an overall counterinsurgency strategy being employed by the military. And I just briefly want to explain why that's a problem for us. When we work in these spaces, our security strategy, Mercy Corps doesn't have an armed security component. We work using community acceptance security strategies. So in Iraq, for example, we have large programs throughout the South, and that means we negotiated a fatwa with Sistani to be able to operate in those areas. In the south of Afghanistan, where we've been operational for about 20 years in Helmand and Kandahar and some of the roughest areas there, we rely on community members and community leaders to negotiate often individual agreements with many different branches of the Taliban to allow projects that are of interest to them to continue. That allows us to operate in an unarmed fashion. If we're seen as part of an overall counterinsurgency strategy, that's when our security mechanisms and protocols no longer work. And so it's something that we always like to highlight in these talks. Mercy Corps has been working very hard over the last few months to think through these issues of a whole-of-government approach and the 3Ds. And one of the key things that we've been pressing is that while we want all of the agencies of our government to be operating in a coordinated and integrated way, that a whole-of-government approach also needs to build in differentiation because each agency and each branch has slightly different goals and different missions that they want to accomplish. And if we combine all those too fully, we may lose